The house that whispers. The night's embrace cloaked the abandoned homestead in an oppressive silence. It stood alone at the end of a crooked dirt path, its broken windows like blind eyes, watching nothing and everything all at once. Ethan Marlowe, a man frayed at the edges of reason, stood on its creaking threshold. He wasn't a believer. Not in ghosts, nor demons. Not in fate or redemption. What he was haunted. But only by his own past. A failed marriage. A career shattered by a scandal he never saw coming. And a son he hadn't spoken to in 7 years. He told himself he was here to debunk the stories. Just another ghost house. Just another local legend. But deep down, he was searching for something else. A reckoning. Or perhaps an escape. The door opened on its own. Inside, the house breathed. The air was thick with dust and decay, but beneath it a strange metallic tang lingered, almost like blood. He held a single candle aloft. Its weak light barely pushed back the shadows. He walked forward. The wooden floor groaned beneath his boots, echoing down the hollow corridor like a warning. Then the whispers began, soft at first, like wind slipping through cracks. But they grew bolder, closer. They seemed to know his name, murmuring it, taunting him. A child's laughter floated from the upstairs landing. Ethan froze. He hadn't told anyone he was coming here, not even his therapist. He called out. No response. He pressed on, through crumbling doorways and long-dead parlors, each room colder than the last. Paint peeled like skin from the walls. Family portraits, eyes scratched out, followed his every move. One frame had been shattered, not from age, but violence. The woman's face inside it was torn clean in half. And then, in the cellar, he found it. A room that hadn't been mentioned in any town record or blueprint, hidden behind rotting shelves. The door opened to a chamber that shouldn't have been there. Its walls were lined with mirrors, all shattered, except one. In its center sat a pedestal, and on it an ancient book, bound in something that looked disturbingly like skin. The pages were brittle and yellowed, filled with symbols that shifted when he looked at them too long. They pulsed. Against his better judgment, he opened it. The candle flickered violently. The air grew thick, electric. He could hear breathing behind him. But when he turned, nothing. He read. The book spoke of crossings, thin places between worlds. It spoke of pacts and echoes and things that fed on memory, and things that remembered you even after you'd forgotten yourself. He should have run, but he didn't. Instead, Ethan came back, night after night, reading one or two, translating. The book began to speak to him, not in words, but in feelings. Guilt, grief, rage, regret. It showed him visions of his son, alone and crying, his ex-wife drowning in pills, himself on the floor of a cheap motel, revolver in hand. And yet, he kept reading. One night, as the full moon hung low and swollen in the sky, the house spoke. It said his name, not in a whisper, but with a voice that vibrated the walls, that reached into his chest and clutched his heart like a cold hand. He screamed. The mirrors cracked, and in their reflections, he saw himself, older, gaunter, eyes hollow. Behind him, things that crawled and slithered, grinning with too many teeth. He had gone too far. He tried to burn the book. The flames refused it at first. It writhed in his hands, alive and unwilling. But finally it caught, burning with a sickly green light. The shadows recoiled, then converged. The house went silent, dead silent. And then it exhaled. The walls trembled. The ground shuddered. A wail like 1,000 mourning voices rose from beneath the floorboards, and the house began to change. Corridors twisted. Doors vanished. Windows led to blackness. Ethan ran, candle in hand, the flame sputtering with every breath. But every turn brought him back to the same place. The center, the heart of the house. There, the last mirror stood unbroken, and in its reflection, he was not alone. A figure stood behind him. It wore his face, but it wasn't him. Its eyes were endless voids. Its mouth hung open, whispering things Ethan couldn't understand, but somehow remembered, words he'd heard in dreams or nightmares, from voices long buried. He backed away, but the floor gave in. He fell into darkness and landed on soft earth. No more house, no more candle, only the book. Whole again, waiting. Ethan sat there, broken, trembling, and understood. The house had never been haunted. He was. And the house had simply opened the door. In his final moment, as the shadows closed in, he smiled. Just a little. Because he finally believed. And that belief would be the last thing he ever had. On this all.